Nike Air Force One are bringing back an 18-year-old retro from 2002, and it's very, very Japanese, and I'm here in Tokyo, Japan, so it makes sense for me to take a look at this shoe. But that wasn't what drew me in. What drew me into this shoe was the design and that reveal element on this shoe, because there's been a history of that at this channel, sometimes hit and sometimes miss, and we'll get into that in today's video. And we'll also look at a couple of things. One of them is, where will you make your cuts to reveal that second upper? I promise you it's vitally important that you think carefully about where to do that, because there's a reason behind the hidden upper. It's not just an extra piece of design, there's a story there too. And then there's also the extra little bit in there with, why does the story of this drop date really fit well with this time of year and this narrative of this shoe. So with all that being said, let's get into this and take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike Air Force One CO.JP, I Believe. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channelです。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today, we've got an Air Force One in the spotlight. 38 years, this silhouette's been going strong. They say it's the biggest seller at the Nike brand. I suppose 30 years without too much change going on there. Then that makes sense. If you think of, say, Air Maxes, how many different ones there have been down the years, or if you say Jordan, how many different ones from there as well. But the Air Force One has just stayed pretty much true to this one silhouette. There's twos and threes as well, but basically this is the one, and this is very true to that silhouette. And at first glance, it's a pure white, sort of triple white looking sneaker, but there's a whole lot more going on, not only across the whole sneaker, but also under that with the second upper inside. So let's get into that and have a look at that shoe, and we'll do what we've been doing recently at the channel, go straight to the shoe and talk about all the points on that first, and then get into a little bit of talk about the story of the shoe and the history of it. So first things first, let's get to the heel and take a look at the branding that goes on there, the I Believe and the little circle. And what that little circle represents is a very Japanese tradition called Daruma, and what it is a face. If you look carefully at that, that's a face, the circle of a head and a face within it. And the story is, the tradition is what you do is you get these things, and sometimes they can be small, like the size of a tennis ball, and sometimes it can be quite large, you know, like the size of, even bigger than a bowling ball or a basketball. And when you get one, either buy it yourself or get it gifted to you, the idea is that you make a wish or a challenge to yourself, and once that promise or that challenge has been made, you colour in one of the eyes black. And then, once you've fulfilled that challenge, once you've succeeded in that wish, you colour in the other eye. That's the whole kind of tradition that goes around these Daruma. And that's why that question I asked at the top of this video is answered. Why is this good sort of for this time of year? These guys are due to drop on January the 9th, at least here in Japan, especially local Japanese sneaker stores, but I'm expecting to see a wider run. I think you're going to see these shoes more readily available than just here in Japan, but we'll have to wait and see for a couple more days to see what happens with that. But like I say, that's the due drop date here in Japan is January the 9th, so it's a very New Year feel to the shoe, and that story of, you know, setting challenges, the whole idea with, you know, set a challenge, colour in one eye, meet challenge, colour in the other eye, it feels like New Year's resolutions. So for sure, this shoe dropping at this time of year totally matches the story of what's going on around the world. But then there's more going on in the shoe. Now, it's a collaboration with Bait, and there's echoes of the 2002 World Cup. This shoe originally dropped 18 years ago with that in mind, with the 2002 World Cup, and here we are in 2021 with the 2020 Olympics due to happen in about 7 months' time, and they're bringing back this shoe, retroing it or restocking it, and so that whole collaborative element, the story of that is that Daruma on the side, but it's also repeated in other places, and then that second upper. So let's look at some of the branding on the shoe. First things first, let's go up to the laces and the tongue. At the top of the tongue, you've got the white on red branding up there, and normally that would say Nike Air Force One up there, but instead today what it says is Nike, and swoosh and I Believe up there. Now I get mixed up with Nike and Nike because in Britain and the UK we see Nike, whereas the rest of the world I think says Nike, so if I flip between the two, that's the reason why. But anyway, back to the shoe and the branding at the top there, red branding panel with the white branding on it, and instead of saying Air Force One it says I Believe. And then if you travel down from that, an interesting question which maybe you can answer in the comments down below, do these guys have Dubrays or not? Usually Air Force Ones would have an AF1 Dubray right at at the bottom of the lacing system, and what they normally wouldn't have is a little swoosh. But recently I've seen this more and more in Air Force Ones, a little swoosh at the bottom of the lacing system, and no Dubray. In the case of these, red on white is the colourway that they're going for, and that red little swoosh at the bottom there stands really in contrast to the rest of the white. And then the last thing to really look at in the branding sense, if we go into the insole and look backwards, you see they've got unmatched insoles, whereas on one it's got the Nike Air branding, which matches kind of branding that you saw at the top of the tongues, but then the other one, you've got another one of those little Daruma faces pictured there, again red on white. So the whole shoe is a very white shoe with red hits on it. But once you do this to it, there's a look at what happens when you strip away the entire upper and reveal the second upper below. But I don't recommend that. What I recommend you do is you study a picture like this and work out which bits of this shoe you want to reveal and which bits you don't want to reveal. Now, we've been here before, I've been here many times. There's been a lot of shoes that have that second upper that I've looked at for the channel. But recently it was the Air Max 1 Asparagus is where I totally got that video wrong about revealing that second upper on there. But today hopefully I've got it a bit more right, and I can give you that, especially from a cultural point of view and from a story point of view, is that the story of this shoe is all to do with that Daruma. So what I would like to see people doing is sort of revealing part of the shoe when they make some kind of promise or some kind of resolution, and then when they reach that resolution, revealing the rest of the shoe. You could maybe even do it with alternate shoes. You could reveal the hidden upper on one of the shoes, just like colouring in one of the eyes on the Daruma, and then once you've fulfilled that wish, reveal the upper on the other shoe, just like colouring the other eye on the Daruma. So for me, there needs to be a bit of thought that goes into how you decide to uncover that second upper on these guys. Don't just do it randomly, don't just do the whole thing. Now, speaking of that second upper, I did see this picture here, and I don't think it's true. But what I'm focused in on there is, yes, of course, you've got a great balance between the front and the back, so you can see the unrevealed versus the revealed elements of the upper. But what I'm really interested in is the midsole, and you can see that unrevealed it's white, but revealed it looks like it's pink. But I don't think that's going to really happen. I might be wrong in this, but I don't think the midsole is going to reveal in the same way that it shows here. But, you know, maybe they will have that as well. But what is for sure is if you flip them upside down, have a look at the outsole, you see that it's a sort of dirty grey translucent outsole on these guys. It doesn't really fit the rest of the shoe with or without the reveal going on. Without the reveal, it's a very white clean upper, and a dirty grey translucent outsole doesn't really match that. But then with the whole reveal done, you've got these deep elegant colours on there, and again that dirty grey translucent outsole sort of doesn't really work for me. I'm not entirely sure what they're thinking in behind making that, putting that particular design element on the shoe was, but there probably is a reason behind it. And again, if you guys know, definitely let us all know in the comments down below. So that's a look at the shoe. We've looked at all the detailing on there that I think is relevant to it, and you've got an idea of what it looks like when the reveal has happened. So like I said, I've been trying to do stuff in the videos where we go straight to the shoe first, and then get into a bit more chat about where the shoe sits and what its reasoning is. So for me, there's a lot of Japanese going in this shoe. If you look at the heel section on the uncovered version, there's some Japanese characters on there, and also on the uncovered version where they've got that branding on the heel, there's more Japanese characters embedded in there as well, and I can't read any of them, which is really frustrating to me. So if anyone watching this at home can talk to us about the characters that are visible throughout this shoe, please definitely let us/me know about them, because I really want to know. At first I thought fuku, which is one of my favorite Japanese kanji, which is to do with prosperity and hope and success, and there's a word for it, but it's a very positive kanji, fuku, but it isn't fuku. I looked into it, and I even with that sort of it's almost like cursive writing, calligraphy style kanji, it wouldn't look like anything that's on these guys. So definitely, if you guys can tell us more about the Japanese characters, let us know in the comments down below. This character on this part of the shoe means this, that character on that part of the shoe means this, especially when it's revealed, especially around the heel. You can see there's characters revealed around there, so we'd like to know more about that. Okay, time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content. We're churning out. Today's January the 2nd. This will be January the 3rd's video. So trying to churn out the content. I'm doing 3 back-to-back videos today to try and get a little bit of stock because I've been doing like daily videos, posting onto Facebook, onto YouTube, and just churning it out. I want to be a bit ahead of the game instead of just sort of chasing my tail a bit. So fingers crossed, we'll get a bit of stock there and be able to sort of calm down a little bit and have enough stock so that I don't have to stress every day about getting a video onto YouTube. And with that being said, time for me to sign off. Got 2 more videos to shoot, so I'm going to go do that. Thank you guys for checking out the content, and I'll say what I say at the end of every single video, which is I do this every single day, which means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.